Some absences don't make a sound, but they weigh on your chest like stones. When a child stops calling, it's not just a routine that breaks, it's a part of your identity that fractures. And the most painful part isn't the silence itself, but trying to explain it to yourself without finding a reason that doesn't make you feel guilty. This is a truth many women, perhaps like you, keep quiet, even though it's deeply felt. You've given everything, been there through every stage, and now it feels like your presence is no longer needed. How do you keep moving forward without giving up, hardening, or becoming invisible, even to yourself? What do you do when the calls stop coming? When the text messages dwindle to nothing and the visits become phantom memories? It's a question that echoes in the quiet corners of many homes, a silent sorrow that often goes unspoken. You look at old photographs, faces beaming, laughter echoing, and wonder, where did we go wrong? Or perhaps, what did I do wrong? This isn't just about missing a phone call. It's about the erosion of a connection that once felt as foundational as the earth beneath your feet. It's about feeling adrift in a world that once revolved around the very people who now seem to have forgotten your orbit. The ache isn't merely the absence, it's the gnawing uncertainty, the replay of every perceived misstep, every sharp word, every moment of perceived inadequacy. You might find yourself staring at a silent phone, phantom vibrations playing tricks on your mind, hoping, just hoping, for a light to flicker, a name to appear on the screen. But the silence persists, a heavy blanket that smothers not just your joy, but your very sense of self-worth. You begin to question your value, your purpose, your role in a life that suddenly feels emptier than you ever imagined. This isn't a uniquely female struggle, though it's often carried with a particular weight by mothers who have poured their very essence into nurturing their children. It's a universal human experience of loss and re-evaluation. Yet, for many in our generation, particularly those aged 45 to 65, it can feel profoundly isolating. Society often idealizes the empty nest as a liberation, but for some, it's a chasm. How do you navigate this landscape of unspoken hurt without succumbing to bitterness, without letting the silence define you, without hardening your heart against the possibility of future joy? This isn't about blaming, it's about understanding. It's about finding a path back to yourself when the path to others seems to have vanished. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 powerful choices you can make when your children stop reaching out. These aren't manipulative strategies to force a reunion, nor are they about assigning blame. Instead, they are profound steps rooted in Stoic wisdom, designed to help you reclaim your center, your voice, and your unshakable dignity, even amidst the most profound absence. We'll delve into how to transform this painful void into a crucible for self-discovery, allowing you to forge a stronger, more resilient self. We're not here for fleeting comfort or sugar-coated platitudes. We're here for real direction, the kind that empowers you to live this stage of life with unwavering clarity, profound strength, and an inner peace that no external circumstance can shatter. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once mused, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, even this heartbreaking silence can become the very path to your liberation, if only you choose to walk it with courage and intention. Many of you, I know, are seeking more than just answers. You're seeking a framework, a philosophy that offers not just coping mechanisms, but a genuine path to thriving amidst life's inevitable challenges. If you resonate with this pursuit of a stronger, more serene, and ultimately happier mind, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy YouTube channel right now. By doing so, you'll gain access to a treasury of videos that will equip your mind with the tools of ancient wisdom, helping you cultivate resilience, find inner tranquility, and live a life of profound purpose, regardless of what unfolds around you. Let's embark on this journey together, transforming what feels like an ending into a powerful new beginning for your spirit. Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson might completely change the way you understand your role as a mother and as a free woman. I'm Gabriel, and this is the Stoic Garden. We're not here for shallow comfort. We're here for real direction to live this stage of life with clarity and strength. What do you do when the calls stop coming? When the vibrant hum of family connection fades into an unsettling quiet? It's not merely the absence of a ringtone that pierces the heart, it's the profound, echoing silence that settles into the very marrow of your bones. This isn't just about a missed conversation. It's about the erosion of a bond, a connection that once felt as natural and essential as breathing. You find yourself glancing at the clock, at the calendar, marking the days, then weeks, then months, since you last heard their voice, since their laughter filled a room, since their presence warmed your home. And with each passing moment, a question, heavy and unspoken, begins to form in the quiet chambers of your mind. Why? But here's the cruelest trap, the most insidious adversary in this emotional landscape. It's not the initial shock of the silence, but the chilling realization that you're starting to get used to it. This is the resignation that slowly, almost imperceptibly, sets in. Like a fog creeping over a familiar landscape, it obscures the sharpness of the pain, dulling the edges of your longing until the ache becomes a constant low thrum rather than a piercing stab. You begin to adapt, to build walls around that tender space in your heart, convincing yourself that this new normal is simply how things are. This resignation is often accompanied by a relentless internal monologue of justification. Your mind, in its desperate attempt to protect you from the raw, unbearable truth, constructs elaborate narratives. They must be so busy, you tell yourself, picturing their demanding careers, their bustling lives, their own children's schedules. Everyone's grown up now, they have their own priorities. Or perhaps, maybe they just don't know how to express themselves, how to bridge this gap. Even more painfully, you might turn the lens inward, whispering, I made mistakes too. Maybe I pushed them away. Maybe this is what I deserve. Each of these carefully constructed excuses, each gentle rationalization, acts like a soft anesthetic, numbing the wound just enough to make it bearable. But in doing so, they also deepen the disconnection from the truth, from the raw reality of what is happening. Because deep down, beneath the layers of justification and resignation, you know the truth. Something broke. It wasn't a gradual drift, not a natural evolution, but a fracture, a severing. And this brokenness isn't just external, a rift in communication. It's an internal shattering, a fragmentation of your own identity. For years, perhaps decades, your role as a parent, your connection to your children, was a cornerstone of who you are. It shaped your days, defined your purpose, filled your heart with a unique kind of love and responsibility. Now, with that cornerstone seemingly chipped away, you feel a profound sense of disorientation, a loss not just of a relationship, but of a significant part of yourself. The danger of this situation is profound. If you don't act soon, if you allow this silence and this internal justification to fester, you won't just lose the bond with your children, however tenuous it may feel. You will lose something far more precious, a part of yourself too. You risk becoming a shadow of the vibrant, loving person you once were, dimmed by unspoken sorrow, hardened by unacknowledged pain, or worse, rendered invisible even to your own eyes. The vibrant tapestry of your life, woven with threads of shared memories and future hopes, begins to unravel, leaving you with a sense of emptiness that no external distraction can truly fill. This isn't a problem that screams for attention. It whispers, it gnaws, it slowly suffocates. It's the quiet anguish of a mother who feels forgotten, a father who feels unneeded. It's the fear that the best years of connection are behind you and that the future holds only more silence. This challenge demands not just your attention, but your courage. It asks you to look unflinchingly at a painful reality, to dismantle the comforting lies you've told yourself, and to confront the profound impact this absence is having on your spirit. Because only by truly acknowledging the depth of the problem can we begin to seek the Stoic wisdom that offers not a quick fix, but a steadfast path towards reclaiming your peace, your purpose, and your dignity in the face of this profound emotional challenge. A journey back to self, navigating absence with Stoic wisdom. The human heart, at any age, yearns for connection, for belonging, for the warmth of recognition, especially from those we have nurtured into the world. When that connection, particularly with our adult children, falters or fades into silence, it can feel like the ground beneath us has shifted. We've poured our souls into raising them, watched them grow, celebrated their triumphs, and held them through their tears. Now, in the twilight years when we might have imagined cozy evenings and frequent calls, we are sometimes met with an echoing quiet. This isn't just a personal sorrow, it's a profound existential challenge, forcing us to re-evaluate our roles, our expectations, and our very definition of love and fulfillment. This section isn't about magical solutions or quick fixes. It's about a deeper, more enduring transformation, an internal revolution. We're going to embark on a journey through 5 powerful Stoic principles reimagined for the unique landscape of a parent grappling with the absence of their adult child. These aren't abstract philosophical concepts. They are practical, soul-sustaining practices designed to help you reclaim your inner peace, not by changing external circumstances, which are often beyond our control, but by fundamentally shifting your relationship with yourself. We will explore how to dismantle the invisible burdens you've carried, redefine the nature of love, and discover an unshakable core of dignity that thrives independently of external validation. Each step is a deliberate act of self-care, a conscious choice to cultivate serenity, not in spite of, but through the very challenges that currently weigh on your heart. Prepare to look inward with courage, to release what no longer serves your highest good, and to forge a path toward a life lived with profound strength and unwavering calm. Part 1. Reclaiming the unshakable core of your dignity. The first step on this profound journey is arguably the most vital. Reclaiming the unshakable core of your dignity. When a child stops calling, stops visiting, it's not merely the quiet phone that stings, it's the insidious whisper that begins to erode your inherent worth. You might find yourself unconsciously asking, "Am I no longer important?" Have I somehow failed? Am I disposable? This vulnerability is natural, a consequence of having poured so much of your identity, your very essence, into the role of parent. For decades, your children were the North Star of your efforts, your sacrifices, your boundless love. Their needs often superseded your own. Their joys became your triumphs, and their struggles, your deepest anxieties. Now, in their absence, a void opens, not just in your daily routine, but in the very fabric of your self-perception. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism offers not a cold comfort, but a blazing torch. The Stoics teach us about the dichotomy of control, distinguishing between what is within our power, our thoughts, judgments, actions, and reactions, and what is outside our power, the actions of others, external events, the past, the future. Your children's choices regarding communication, their level of engagement, their affection, these are unequivocally outside your control. To stake your dignity, your peace, your self-worth on these external factors is to build your house on shifting sands. It's to grant them, however unintentionally, the power to dictate your inner state. But your dignity, your true worth, is not, and never has been, contingent upon anyone else's recognition or reciprocation. It is inherent. It resides in your character, in your virtues, in the choices you make about how to live and respond. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The pain you feel isn't just from their absence, it's from the interpretation that their absence diminishes you. This interpretation is precisely what you have the power to revoke. Consider the metaphor of a grand, ancient tree. For years, its branches may have provided shade and shelter for countless creatures. Birds nested in its boughs, children played beneath its canopy, travelers rested in its shade. The tree gave freely, abundantly. But if the birds fly away, if the children grow up and no longer visit, if the travelers find other paths, does the tree cease to be a tree? Does its inherent majesty, its deep roots, its silent strength diminish? No. Its worth is not defined by external use or appreciation, but by its very existence, its rootedness, its capacity to endure. You are that tree. Your worth is not defined by how much shade you provide or how many seek shelter beneath your branches, but by the strength of your own trunk, the depth of your own roots. To reclaim this dignity means consciously shifting your focus from "what am I receiving from them?" to "who am I, independent of their presence?" It means looking in the mirror and seeing not a discarded role, but an individual forged by decades of experience, resilience, and a love so vast it transcended self. It means acknowledging the pain, yes, but refusing to allow that pain to define your value. Practical application of this Stoic principle involves deliberate daily acts of self-affirmation and self-respect. Imagine you have a precious jewel, your dignity. Would you leave it lying exposed on a street corner, hoping someone would pick it up and admire it? Or would you safeguard it, polish it, and understand its intrinsic value regardless of who sees it? You must become the guardian of your own worth. This might involve journaling. Not to lament, but to articulate your virtues, your quiet strengths, the lessons you've learned. Write letters to your younger self, acknowledging your resilience. Write about your unique contributions to the world, beyond just your role as a parent. Setting personal boundaries. This isn't about being punitive, but about honoring your time, energy, and emotional space. Say no to things that drain you without reciprocating. Engage in activities that genuinely nourish your soul, not just those that might garner external approval. Cultivating self-reliance. Find joy and purpose in activities that depend solely on you. Learn a new skill, revisit an old hobby, volunteer for a cause that resonates with your values. These actions reinforce your autonomy and capability. Mindful self-talk. Catch yourself when the internal justifications or self-blame begin. Reframe them. Instead of, "They don't call because I wasn't enough," try, "Their choices are their own. My worth is not tied to their communication." Embracing solitude. Learn to appreciate the quiet moments not as emptiness, but as opportunities for profound introspection and self-communion. Seneca once remarked, "Every day, every hour, shows us that what we are is nothing, but only the next moment we can live with purpose." Use the quiet to define your own purpose for yourself. Reclaiming your dignity isn't a passive act of waiting, it's an active, daily cultivation of inner strength. It's understanding that the love you gave was a testament to your character, not a transaction demanding a specific return. When you cease to build your self-worth on how often your phone rings or how frequently your doorbell chimes, you discover a profound, unshakable peace. You learn to fear the silence less because you finally hear the most important voice of all, your own, speaking from a place of unyielding self-respect. This is the bedrock upon which all other steps towards serenity are built. Part 2. The courage to name the unjustifiable. After beginning the vital work of reclaiming your inherent dignity, we now turn to an equally courageous, yet often more painful step, finding the strength to name the unjustifiable. Our minds, remarkably adaptive tools, are also masters of self-deception, especially when faced with emotional pain. When the absence of a loved one, particularly a child, cuts deeply, our first instinct isn't always to confront the raw truth. Instead, we often find ourselves building elaborate mental edifices of justification. "They're just so busy," we repeat, a mantra to ward off the sting. "Life is complicated for them now. They have their own families." Perhaps they just don't know how to express themselves or how to connect. Or in moments of painful self-recrimination, "Maybe I did something wrong in the past. Perhaps this is the consequence." Each of these justifications, these soft denials of reality, is like a small dose of emotional anesthetic. They numb the immediate pain, making the silence slightly more bearable. But, crucially, they also deepen the chasm between you and the truth. What is not named, what is constantly excused, cannot be truly healed. What is perpetually justified eventually becomes normalized, and you find yourself living in a distorted reality where neglect is relabeled as independence and indifference as busyness. The Stoics, with their uncompromising commitment to objective perception, would urge us to strip away these layers of comforting illusion. Epictetus, the former slave who became a profound philosopher, famously taught that what disturbs men's minds is not events, but their judgments on events. The event is the silence, the absence. The judgment is the story you tell yourself about it. The Stoic path is not about positive thinking that masks reality. It's about seeing clearly, even when clarity is uncomfortable. It's about facing the truth squarely, even when that truth is painful, because only in the light of truth can genuine strength and effective action emerge. Consider the analogy of a chronic wound. If you constantly cover it with a beautiful, intricate bandage and tell yourself it's just a temporary bruise, you avoid the discomfort of inspection. But the wound beneath festers, grows deeper, and eventually becomes far more dangerous. To truly heal, you must remove the bandage, examine the wound, and name its nature: a cut, a burn, an infection. Only then can proper treatment begin. Similarly, you must remove the elaborate bandages of justification and bravely acknowledge the emotional wound for what it is. For example, if an adult child hasn't called in weeks or months, it's not always, or even primarily, because they are busy. Sometimes the hard truth is simply that they don't care enough to prioritize that connection. This is a difficult truth to swallow, especially for a parent. But saying it, acknowledging it, doesn't make you a harsh or negative person. It makes you someone who has decided to open their eyes, to choose truth over comforting illusion. This is not about assigning blame, but about recognizing reality. From a deeper, almost spiritual perspective, perpetually justifying another's emotional abandonment is a subtle form of self-betrayal. If you spend your precious time and energy defending those who neglect you, who, then, is left to defend you? Who is protecting your sacred inner space, your peace, your well-being? Justifying the unjustifiable is a silent agreement to diminish your own worth, to accept less than you deserve, to sacrifice your authentic feelings for the sake of maintaining a false image of family harmony. Over time, this doesn't just erode your self-esteem, it makes you invisible, first to them, and then, most tragically, to yourself. The consequences of this constant justification are devastatingly quiet. You begin to accept a new, low standard for connection. You grow accustomed to superficial interactions, to disrespect disguised as forgetfulness, to emotional coldness presented as independence. Unwittingly, you justify why they only call when they need something, why visits are purely transactional, why your own emotional needs are consistently overlooked, while you remain perpetually available, loving, and waiting. This waiting, which seems noble and patient, can become a self-imposed prison. And the key to unlocking its gates is the courageous decision to stop justifying what no longer makes sense, what no longer aligns with the love and respect you inherently deserve. Take a moment to reflect with unflinching honesty. How many times have you spoken kindly of someone who consistently hurt you, just to avoid being perceived as a complaining mother or a difficult father? How often have you defended your children to friends or family while silently weeping over their indifference in the quiet solitude of your home? How many times have you uttered, "It's okay," when every fiber of your being screamed that it absolutely was not? This isn't humility, it's fear. Fear of loss, fear of confrontation, fear of being truly alone. And fear, dressed up in excuses, morphs into a profound form of self-deception. But you have the power to break this cycle today. You can decide that you will no longer expend your energy explaining away someone else's lack of love or consideration. You will stop searching for justifications where none exist, where only stark reality remains. You will look into the mirror and say to yourself with the full, unyielding strength of your life story, I do not need to make excuses to be treated with respect. My worth is not up for negotiation. This simple, powerful declaration can mark the beginning of an entirely different chapter in your life. A chapter where you no longer carry the guilt of others or side with those who have chosen to distance themselves. Remember this profound Stoic distinction. Forgiving is not justifying. You can choose to release resentment and anger for your own peace, a Stoic practice, without simultaneously rationalizing or excusing the behavior that caused the pain. Loving someone does not mean tolerating everything, and being a parent, while an act of immense sacrifice, does not equate to suffering in silence. Sometimes the most spiritual, most courageous, and most necessary act for your own soul's integrity is to cease defending those who have never truly defended your emotional well-being. In that act of letting go, in that brave naming of the truth, a new kind of love is born, a love that begins with you and that no one, absolutely no one, can ever take away. Part 3. Redefining the tapestry of connection. Once you have bravely let go of the habit of justifying the unjustifiable, a new and even more powerful opportunity emerges to redefine what the bond with your children truly means in your life. Because if you remain stuck in the old meaning, one solely dependent on their physical presence, their calls, their visits, you will remain trapped in a cycle of absence, longing, and pain. This next step is not just crucial, it's a profound act of liberation, allowing you to rewrite the bond without needing physical presence. This is perhaps one of the most challenging yet ultimately most liberating strategies to embrace. It demands a fundamental shift in how you perceive your role as a parent. No longer is your essence as a mother or father defined solely by the external reciprocation you receive. Instead, it is defined by what you choose to give, not to them in their physical absence, but to yourself, to your inner world, and to the enduring spirit of love that resides within you. A true relationship, from a Stoic perspective, doesn't solely stay alive through external actions like calls or visits. It endures through the meaning you choose to ascribe to it. And sometimes, the healthiest meaning you can create is an inner space of calm, remembrance, and honor, rather than a constant source of expectation, anxiety, and pain. The Stoics consistently teach that the value of things doesn't lie in what happens outside of us, but in how we interpret, internalize, and choose to live those experiences. You cannot control whether your children call you, visit you, or even acknowledge your feelings. These are externals, but you can control what place they hold in your inner world. You can initiate a profound emotional shift, from a draining longing for what is not to a respectful honoring of cherished memories, from a constricting desire for their presence to a liberating understanding of your enduring love for them, a love that exists regardless of their current choices. This strategy is far from cold or detached. On the contrary, it is deeply spiritual because it's about loving without losing yourself. It's about remembering without being trapped in the suffocating grip of nostalgia. It's about continuing to be a parent in the truest, most unconditional sense, without reducing your entire life, your joy, and your self-worth to how others choose to respond. It's about recognizing that the essence of your parental love is a wellspring within you, not a tap that can be turned off or on by external factors. Imagine your bond with your children not as a fragile bridge that collapses when they walk away, but as a deeply cherished altar within the sanctuary of your own soul. For years, you tended to this altar with unwavering devotion. You adorned it with selfless acts, kept its flame lit with endless dedication, and infused it with your hopes and dreams for their lives. But now they no longer come near this sacred space. The natural human mistake would be to either dismantle that altar in a fit of resentment or to let it gather dust and crumble while you endlessly wait for their return, hoping they will rekindle its flame. The Stoic path offers a different, more powerful response. You can preserve that space with profound dignity, not as a temple of desperate waiting, but as a vibrant, living symbol of what you gave, of who you were in that giving, and most importantly, of who you still are, because of that immense capacity to love. It becomes a place that doesn't depend on whether they call you, but on how you see yourself when you reflect on all the love, sacrifice, and wisdom you poured into their lives without holding back. This is what it means to redefine. It's not about closing your heart or ceasing to love them. It's about relocating your love to a space within you where it cannot be diminished, controlled, or destroyed by their actions. It's about ensuring your profound capacity for love remains a source of strength for you, not a source of your vulnerability. Many women and men reach this stage of life feeling utterly defeated because the immense love they gave, the endless sacrifices they made, did not return in the way they desperately expected or felt they deserved. But Stoicism, with its profound insights into the nature of virtue and internal flourishing, teaches us a liberating truth. Not everything we give comes back from the outside, nor must it. Sometimes, what returns is a new version of yourself, one that is stronger, clearer, more at peace. This reforged version of you doesn't need physical presence to keep the connection alive. It needs awareness. It needs direction. It needs you to finally stop waiting for someone else to validate your existence and begin living your life fully on your own terms. This doesn't mean you will never hope for a reconciliation or that the occasional pang of sadness won't surface. You are human after all. But by redefining the bond, you shift from a state of constant emotional depletion to one of internal replenishment. You move from being a victim of external circumstances to an agent of your own inner peace. You create a sacred internal space for your love that exists independently of another's participation. This is a radical act of self-care and a profound expression of Stoic freedom. You are liberating your love from the prison of expectation, allowing it to exist as a beautiful, enduring part of your story, one that fills your cup rather than endlessly seeking validation from cups that may remain empty or turned away. This internal shift empowers you to truly live rather than merely wait to be lived. Part 4. The Mirror of Silence. A path to self-illumination. Once you begin the profound work of redefining the bond, shifting it from external dependency to an internal wellspring, something transformative begins to unfold within you. You are no longer solely tethered to the actions or inactions of others, but precisely at this pivotal moment, a more subtle yet equally dangerous trap can emerge. It doesn't scream or demand attention. Instead, it whispers insidiously every single day. If left unrecognized, it can slowly but surely steal your hard-won clarity, leaving you adrift once more. We've arrived at the fourth critical step in this journey, and its profound name is the Mirror of Silence, a path to self-illumination. A common, almost instinctive mistake many of us make, not out of weakness, but often because we've been conditioned to constantly give, to perpetually seek harmony and connection, is interpreting silence as guilt or punishment. When the phone doesn't ring, when the visits cease, when even a brief text exchange vanishes, we often internalize this absence. We tell ourselves, maybe I did something wrong. Perhaps I don't deserve to be reached out to. Surely something in me must have failed them. This thought, while seemingly reasonable, is in truth a soft, slow-acting poison that gradually weakens the very roots of your peace. It transforms an external silence, which is simply another person's choice, into an internal act of self-aggression. You cease to see the situation for what it is, another's decision, often reflecting more about their journey than yours, and instead begin to experience it as a fundamental flaw within your own being. It is then that the self-inflicted punishment truly begins, not in the loneliness of the external silence, but in the relentless, corrosive cycle of self-judgment that festers within. This kind of punitive thinking feeds voraciously on the past. Old scenes resurface, replaying like broken records, moments when you might have been impatient, when you felt absent, when you simply didn't know what to do as a parent. Suddenly, your present moment is stained, clouded by a guilt you can no longer change, a past you can no longer alter. But here is the crucial truth, one that Stoicism consistently emphasizes. A relationship is a shared path, a mutual endeavor. It is never, ever a solo responsibility. If an adult child chooses distance, chooses silence, that decision inevitably speaks volumes about their own story, their level of maturity, their unique way of processing the bond. It is a reflection of their current capacity, or lack thereof. Not every instance of abandonment or prolonged silence is rooted in your mistakes. And even if there were perceived mistakes, even if your parenting wasn't flawless, and whose ever is, that certainly does not justify sustained indifference, prolonged emotional detachment, or a silent disappearance. Silence can have myriad causes, but none of them, absolutely none, require you to become your own executioner. Epictetus, with his piercing insight, spoke of judgment as the soul's most subtle weapon against itself. He taught, "What harms us is not what happens to us, but our reaction to it." When you choose to use silence not as a punishment but as a mirror, you adopt a posture of profound self-observation without succumbing to self-harm. You ask yourself not, "What did I do wrong?" but rather, "What does this silence reveal about the nature of our relationship? What kind of parent have I genuinely been based on my intentions and efforts? What kind of woman am I now in this moment of quiet? What am I still waiting for from others, and why am I still waiting for it when I hold so much within myself?" These questions, asked with brutal honesty and compassionate self-awareness, may not make the situation less painful initially. In fact, they might even intensify the discomfort of self-confrontation, but they are profoundly constructive. They place you in an active, powerful position, not a passive, helpless one. You are no longer merely waiting for absolution from your children, an absolution that may never come. Instead, you are looking at your life and the situation with a mature, discerning eye. You are transforming mere absence into a powerful source of clarity about your own needs, boundaries, and intrinsic worth. However, if you succumb to the insidious trap of self-punishment, that silence metastasizes into a pervasive shadow that infiltrates every corner of your life. It steals the simple joy of a quiet morning cup of coffee. It prevents you from truly savoring a meal you lovingly prepared for yourself. It makes you feel that any moment of personal peace or happiness is inherently selfish, because you perceive yourself as still unforgiven, still carrying a hidden burden. And just like that, without even realizing it, you hand over your well-being, your emotional sovereignty, to someone who isn't physically present, who isn't calling, who isn't even asking for it. That, my dear friend, is not love. That is emotional submission, disguised as loyalty or humility. This is precisely why this step holds such immense significance. Choosing to see silence as a mirror doesn't make you cold or disconnected. On the contrary, it makes you someone who chooses to see deeply, profoundly into the core of your own being. It transforms you into someone who no longer needs the fleeting validation of the world to know who she is. It empowers you to be alone without being broken, to exist fully and powerfully in your own company. That, truly, is the essence of Stoic freedom, the kind of liberation that arrives when you accept what is, without allowing it to define or diminish you. Silence, when utilized wisely and courageously, doesn't isolate you, it reveals you. And when you learn to listen to it without fear, when you gaze into its depths for self-illumination rather than self-condemnation, you realize you no longer need to desperately fill the void with external noise, because the profound clarity, the unwavering self-knowledge, and the deep peace you discover within are worth infinitely more than any empty word from the outside. Part 5. Dismantling the chains of conditional love. After the courageous work of breaking free from the habit of justifying the unjustifiable, you come to an even more unsettling realization, a quiet truth that many of us carry without ever naming it. You've spent so much of your life measuring your worth, your value, and your very existence by what others need from you. And when, suddenly, no one seems to need anything from you at all, you are left with a profound sense of aimlessness, a feeling of being purposeless. This is the moment when life demands brutal honesty, a moment when you can no longer afford to make excuses or put off confronting the obvious. We've arrived at the 5th pivotal step in this transformative journey, and here we uncover one of the deepest roots of emotional exhaustion, dismantling the chains of conditional love. You may never have consciously called it conditional love, but you have undoubtedly felt its insidious pull. It's that subtle, often unspoken sense that you are truly seen, truly valued, truly loved, only when you are useful, that the affection of your children, the attention of your family, even the care of those around you, seems to switch on only when you are doing something for them, solving a problem, providing a resource, giving of yourself without limit. And at the end of a long, often draining day, in the quiet solitude of your own thoughts, a poignant question echoes. Who truly loves me for simply being me without expecting something in return? This particular brand of conditional love isn't enforced with loud words or explicit demands. Instead, it settles in through subtle gestures, through selective absences, through an affection that feels perpetually dependent on your availability, your sacrifices, your constant giving. This insidious pattern forms over years, often without you even realizing its tightening grip. Because, yes, you gave out of boundless love, out of an inherent desire to nurture and support. But often, beneath that pure love, there was also an unspoken, almost primal need to belong, to be needed, to ensure your place within the family constellation. And when you slowly begin to realize that your worth, your very existence, seems intrinsically tied to what you can constantly offer, You unconsciously begin to act as if your very presence needs to justify itself in every relationship. This is the ultimate trap. You end up believing, deep in your core, that if you're not perpetually available, you don't deserve attention. That if you dare to set healthy boundaries, you risk losing the affection you desperately crave. That if you simply ask for the basic respect you are owed, you will be branded as difficult or demanding. And so, without truly noticing the erosion, you accept love with invisible conditions. And in doing so, you slowly forget what it feels like to receive genuine, unconditional affection, to be given to without having to beg, without having to pay a hidden emotional cost. The price of perpetually upholding this invisible pact is immense, and it's paid in pieces of your very soul. It doesn't just drain you physically, forcing you to always be available, always on call. It relentlessly erodes your spiritual center, your inner peace. You start living on edge, perpetually observing how others react to you, carefully measuring your words to avoid upsetting anyone, constantly reshaping yourself into what you believe is expected of you. And slowly, tragically, you stop being you. You cease to be a multifaceted individual and become merely a function, a resource, a problem solver, a perpetual support system. In this slow fade, your self-respect diminishes, frustration builds into a silent fury, and a pervasive loneliness sets in, even when you are surrounded by people. For there is nothing more heartbreaking, more profoundly isolating than feeling utterly alone while still pouring every ounce of your being into everyone else. But this deeply ingrained pattern, this silent contract of conditional love, can be broken. Not with blame or dramatic confrontation, but with a firm, quiet, and profoundly powerful decision. It's the declaration spoken first to your own heart. I no longer beg for affection. I no longer trade my precious peace for crumbs of attention. I no longer allow myself to be loved only when it is convenient or beneficial for someone else. And while this declaration may initially sting, bringing with it the fear of further loss, it is simultaneously the dawn of a new, truly liberating chapter. This is not about stopping love. It's about loving from a place of freedom and wholeness. It's about giving what truly comes from your heart, overflowing with genuine generosity rather than what is demanded through accumulated emotional debt or a desperate need for validation. It's about confidently stating, I am here, but not in any way. I remain in this relationship if it is fair, if it is reciprocal, if it nourishes my spirit. I will walk away or create emotional distance if the foundation of this connection is built solely on my utility. To take this monumental step, you must undergo a profound shift in your core mindset. You must utterly stop believing that your primary role in life is to perpetually hold everything and everyone together. You must deeply internalize that your inherent value is not and never was measured by how much you give, how much you sacrifice, or how much you do for others. Your value lies in who you are simply by existing, even when you are giving nothing at all, when you are simply being. And you must accept with unwavering conviction that true love is fundamentally different from constant, draining sacrifice. It is about authentic, mutual presence, a genuine exchange of hearts, entirely free from the insidious specter of emotional blackmail. Change, genuine and lasting change, is always possible, but it will not, cannot, come from others. It begins the very day you cease to fear that love will disappear if you truly respect yourself, if you uphold your boundaries, if you reclaim your dignity. It begins the moment you finally discover that true, soul-satisfying love, the kind that sustains and nourishes, paradoxically begins not when you relentlessly pursue it, but when you stop paying for it with the precious currency of your dignity and your unwavering inner peace. This is the path to freedom, to authentic connection, and to a love that finally honors all of you. The unveiling, your crossroads of truth. If you have journeyed with me this far, it is no mere coincidence. You have walked through words that refuse to sugarcoat, embraced truths that unsettle the comfortable illusions, and bravely confronted questions few have dared to ask you with this level of unwavering clarity. You have faced the raw reality of silent phones and empty chairs, not with despair, but with a growing resolve to understand and transcend. You have looked inward, past the layers of justification and the subtle chains of conditional love, to begin reclaiming the unshakable core of your own dignity. You have held the silence not as a punishment, but as a mirror, reflecting profound insights about yourself and your path forward. Now, standing at this precipice, you are faced with a decision that can no longer be delayed, a pivotal moment that will define the very essence of your remaining years. This is your crossroads of truth. On one path lies the familiar yet increasingly draining landscape of the past, continuing to justify absences, to accept the lingering silence as your fate, to disguise your profound exhaustion as strength, and to hope against all evidence that things will magically change. This path leads to a life lived in a perpetual state of waiting, a poignant yearning for a connection that may never materialize in the way you desire. It is a path that, though seemingly safe in its familiarity, slowly but surely diminishes your spirit, dims your light, and keeps you tethered to a narrative of lack and unfulfilled expectation. But there is another path, stretching out before you now, illuminated by the very wisdom we have explored. This path invites you to begin walking, with purpose and courage, toward a life where your voice, your needs, and your profound well-being are at the absolute center. It is a path of radical self-reclamation, even if that means consciously, compassionately, but firmly, letting go of the desperate clinging to bonds that no longer truly see you, that no longer serve your growth, that no longer reciprocate the immense love you are capable of giving. This is not a message of shallow comfort, nor an empty embrace designed to make you feel momentarily better. This is a firm, unwavering invitation to choose liberation. It's a call to stop living from a place of chronic lack and to begin, with every fiber of your being, to live from a place of unvarnished truth. The raw beauty of this moment lies in its urgency. You still can. It is not too late to reorient your compass, to chart a new course for the decades ahead. And most importantly, know this: no one is coming to rescue you if you don't decide to rescue yourself first. The deepest freedom is not found in external circumstances aligning perfectly with your desires, but in the profound realization that your peace and happiness reside entirely within your own cultivation. The Stoics understood this profoundly. True serenity is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of an unshakable inner calm that faces trouble head-on. This moment, this climax in your journey, is where you embody that understanding. It's where you choose to step out of the shadow of what should have been and into the radiant light of what can still be. It's where you decide to invest your remaining precious time and energy, not in yearning for what is lost, but in building a future brimming with purpose, dignity, and self-respect. This decision to walk this new path requires immense courage. It means shedding old expectations, perhaps grieving what will never be, and embracing a future forged by your own deliberate choices. But it is precisely in this courageous step that you reclaim your agency, your power, and your innate capacity for joy. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your soul's landscape. The time for hesitant half measures is over. The time for unwavering commitment to your own serenity, your own truth, is now. What will you choose? The familiar ache of waiting, or the profound, sometimes challenging freedom of moving forward? The answer echoes not from the silent phone, but from the depths of your own wise heart. The resolute awakening. If you have journeyed with me through these powerful reflections, reaching this point in our conversation, it is no mere accident. You have demonstrated a rare courage, a willingness to gaze unflinchingly into the quiet pain that many choose to bury. You've walked through words that refuse to sugarcoat, embraced truths that may have initially unsettled you, and confronted deeply personal questions that few have dared to ask with this level of unwavering clarity. You have chosen to peel back the layers of societal expectations, personal justifications, and the subtle, often unseen ties that bind us to the past. You are standing now not as a victim of circumstance, but as an individual on the cusp of a profound, resolute awakening. You've proven yourself willing to hear what the world often prefers to keep silent. You've bravely faced head-on what hurts, what weighs heavy on your heart, and what has perhaps been denied or minimized for years. This willingness to engage with such raw honesty is not common, and it speaks volumes about your innate strength and your deep yearning for genuine peace. This journey has been about equipping you with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, not as a shield against feeling, but as a compass guiding you through the storm. We've explored how to reclaim your inherent dignity, untethering it from the fluctuating tides of external validation. We've championed the courage to name the unjustifiable, freeing yourself from the insidious trap of self-deception. We've learned to redefine the tapestry of connection, allowing love to exist powerfully within you, independent of physical presence. We've embraced silence as a mirror, transforming a void into an opportunity for profound self-illumination rather than self-punishment. And critically, we've begun to dismantle the chains of conditional love, refusing to pay for affection with your peace and authenticity. Each step has been an act of reclamation of your identity, your serenity, and your rightful place at the center of your own life. This isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming unshakably centered, capable of loving deeply without losing yourself in the process. You are now armed with insights that empower you to transform absence into autonomy, sorrow into strength. This is your foundation for a future where your inner peace is your most guarded treasure, a treasure that no external event can diminish. You now possess the clarity to navigate this complex stage of life, not merely enduring it, but truly thriving within it. Your next step towards serenity. You have reached the end of this profound conversation, and your presence here speaks volumes about your commitment to your own well-being. Not many people are willing to hear what the world often prefers to keep quiet, to face head-on what truly hurts, what weighs heavy, and what has been quietly denied for years. But you did, and for that courage, you deserve more than just words. You deserve a clear path forward. This isn't just about finishing one video, it's about starting a new chapter in your life. a chapter defined by strength, clarity, and an unshakable inner peace. My name is Gabriel, and this is the Stoic Garden. This space exists for one clear reason: to stand firmly and compassionately beside individuals like you who deserve to reclaim their emotional autonomy, their spiritual dignity, and the true direction of their lives. We don't create content to merely entertain. We write to awaken, to confront, to restore. If this voice resonates with you, if you feel this path is also yours, I urge you to take the next deliberate step. Subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel right now. By joining our community, you refuse to stay silent. You refuse to keep pretending everything's fine while falling apart inside. You choose a path of growth and profound self-respect. Share this video with someone you know who needs to stop begging for attention, who might be carrying a similar silent burden. Sometimes a single word, a shared truth, is enough to crack open the wall of self-deception. And if this conversation has touched your soul, don't let its wisdom end here. Right after this, you'll see 2 more videos specifically curated to help you continue walking with even more clarity and less guilt. Click on one of them. Keep going, because as long as you keep listening with an open heart, as long as you keep making decisions that reclaim your voice, there is still time, ample time, to live this stage of your life with strength, with meaning, and with total, unwavering respect for yourself. Thank you for dedicating your valuable time to this conversation. May your journey forward be filled with ever-increasing serenity, profound self-discovery, and the deepest peace your heart deserves.
Thank you for watching this video here on the Stoic Philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.